I do not expect you to understand. You who cling to your flesh as if it were immortal, seeking only to preserve it, to protect it. One day you will see the folly of your ways, and then no doubt you will come begging to my order to preserve you.
Thank you to Paradox Interactive for sponsoring this video. The Machine Age is available to pre-purchase and releases on the 7th of May. If you want to pick it up, please use the link in the description or the pinned comment. My lords, today I bring you a report regarding an empire called the Bothan Order. From their historic records, they appear to have been religiously fanatical regarding the cyberization of their species. Their society was built on 4 ancient religious sects, or creeds if you will, and they all fought for control of the augmentation process, i.e. how and under what circumstance the cybernetic implants were installed on their population. Indeed, one would almost argue that this empire viewed cybernetic enhancement as a literal worship of some sort of god, perhaps a machine god, being that their most commonly used religious phrase reads, "To fuse is divine, augmentation is worship." Furthermore, they were so intent on purging the weakness of the flesh with mechanical parts, they even sought to bring other empires into the fold, spreading their cybernetic doctrine across the galaxy. Fanatics indeed. I shall detail an account of their records from when they reached the technological level of faster-than-light travel, and began to ritualistically cybernetically enhance themselves with implants. Our sublime calling is the unification of flesh and machine. Our history is replete with failed attempts. Again and again, we have tried and failed. Our previous attempts at cybernetic enhancement have been poor, amateur, minor, pathetic, compared to the vision. But still, our people yearn for the holy union of machine and flesh. For the first time in decades, we have hope. We are guided by the divine will. We have achieved great things. We have cracked faster-than-light travel, and achieved the first stage of sacred symbiosis with machine. The ritualistic modification has begun. Roughly half the population has been upgraded, and yet we've only begun to touch on the boundaries of cybernetic potential. More advanced augmentations are yet to come. Despite this progress, our faith stands divided. We have 4 old and still competing creeds that dispute the end goals of our sacred augmentation. Despite the murkiness of their arguments, I know that the ultimate goal is the perfect union of holy flesh and blessed technology. We will improve on the limited designs of genetic evolution. To fuse is divine. Augmentation is worship. There are 4 creeds that dominate the faith of our people. They are the Commune of Toil, the Fellowship of the Hammer, the Choir of the Mind, and the Templars of Steel. Since our escape into space, all 4 attempt to influence our new government. Each wields considerable sway over the faithful, advocating for the elevation of their members to influential positions and fulfilling their distinct spiritual needs. Only time will tell if these diverse pressures will bring us closer to the divine, or plunge us into chaos. We hope that they will be helpful. If they are not, I suspect the outcome will be a brutal and bloody civil war. The year is 2205, and we have surveyed our first potentially habitable planet. The priesthoods on our homeworld had a generally favourable reception to the reports of complex yet dumb organisms found on these alien worlds. The findings, however, did spark some interdoctrinal debate. Is this proof that we are the lords of all creation, or have we simply not encountered our brethren from beyond the void? The exploration of the wider galaxy, however, will have to wait, as within only several years we had completed research on the next stage of our cybernetic enhancement. Thus, today would mark the commencement of our journey into cybernetics proper, and we must now wholeheartedly embrace the fusion of flesh and machine. Throughout our history, we have misguided attempts to augment our flesh, which have irreparably lacerated numerous divine vessels, leading to conflict of the interpretations of the divine fusion among the different creeds. As technology finally enables full augmentation, the holy leaders of our faith, the technophants, wish to establish a conclave. Its purpose will be to enshrine the core principles of our church and attempt to merge the individual creeds into a unified, dominant dogma. Forming the conclave of technophants was arduous, with each of the most important creeds demanding significant levels of representation in the conclave. After a lengthy deliberation, the Fellowship of the Hammer, the Templars of Steel, the Choir of the Mind, and the Commune of Toil were all invited, in equal capacity. The conclave will now approach their divine task with a fiery conviction. The first decree demands increased tithes or mandated community service from the general population. The second decree is that we must have an official formalization of the faith. For too long, the differences between the various creeds have caused friction in our society. The major creeds all make a compelling case for a dominant unified faith, while a more moderate voice argued for a truly open and inclusive path. It was the decision of the Council that a single creed will make our empire strong. Each creed will make their case to the Council, and our decision vital in uniting the religious sects of the empire. We decided to go with the Choir of the Mind, for it was their researchers that finally brought an understanding to the meaning of integrated cybernetics. After choosing the Choir of the Mind, the other creeds protested, vigorously. Many now believe the conclave has turned against the true faith. So far, the protests have been heated but peaceful. Only time will tell whether the sparks will result in flames. Whatever comes next, we must decide the fate of the other creeds. Some are calling for outright excommunication, labelling their dogma heresy. The turmoil that they are causing good evidence of their blasphemy. Others, meanwhile, say that mercy is the way forward, asking us to show tolerance towards the misguided members of our faith. With what is perhaps the worst or best possible timing, depending on your perspective, it is with great sadness that the High Blacksmith, head of the Fellowship of Hammer, suddenly died. Despite being known for their outspoken behaviour and decisive views, they did have a cult following by the membership of their creed. The Fellowship has requested that they receive an official state funeral, an honour usually reserved for only our most beloved leaders. Unsurprisingly, the other creeds demand that the state have no part in the burial of this outspoken leader. Despite the potential implications, we thought it important to remember that ultimately, a good man has died, and as such we decided to go ahead with the state funeral. We also thought that in some ways, this funeral would represent a death of the creeds that have governed us for so long. We hoped that the populace will also see it this way, and thus, mere days after the funeral, we razed the other three headquarters, leaving only the Choir of the Mind standing. Furthermore, to ensure there is no confusion going forward, all idols of the three now dead creeds will be purged from society. We must be united going forward. Despite rising levels of anxiety across the population, there has been no real worrying events. Thus, the Council stands by its choice. There will only be one faith. Dedication to the unified dogma continues to spread among the people, with most practitioners of the various creeds having already disavowed their old ways. Everyone apart from the true fanatics are preparing their divine flesh for the final transformation. The truth of our divine fusion will prevail. We have now completed almost all we need to do before the final transformation and before we fully adopt cybernetic enhancement. The single and dominant creed is reintroducing the teeth of time, a once long-standing tradition of the faith. For countless generations, every faithful member of society has given a portion of their time and energy to the Church. Like divine fusion, this service act helps strengthen the body of the faith. How should the faithful best support the divine augmentation? There are several choices: the teeth of augmentation, the teeth of knowledge, or the teeth of crafting. Given that we're mere months away from full cybernetic enhancement of the general population, we thought it fitting to go with the teeth of augmentation. Our people will give their time and energy to our engineering research capabilities. The Council is most pleased to report that the time for divine fusion is finally upon us. We must construct a holy augmentation center on each of our worlds so that the process can begin. To fuse is divine, augmentation is worship. As we complete the divine journey, our vessels finally achieved the holy fusion of machine and flesh. The one final step for the faithful is the installation of holy augments. The Choir of the Mind will unlock the universe's secrets with a population of networked minds. To align with the fusion of our bodies, our government will also fully embrace cybernetics and undergo a restructure. We are now a cybernetic sovereignty. It would appear, my lords, that this event marked the beginning of the new Bothan Order, a now fully cybernetic people. We do not know much about what happened after their ascension, only that their galaxy was attacked by a being called Satana, the synthetic queen, and they were utterly destroyed, leaving nothing but ruins. Unfortunately for us, the records that we found to base this report on. The last surviving record that we have reads,
I do not expect you to understand, you who cling to your flesh as if it were immortal, seeking only to preserve it, to protect it. One day you will see the folly of your ways, and then no doubt you will come begging to my order to preserve you.
Thanks for watching, folks, and thanks again to Paradox. I hope you're all excited to play the Machine Age. If you want to buy the DLC and support myself and the channel, please click the link in the description or the pinned comment. And as ever, if you want to hear more from me, please click the video on screen now.